Hey there, Squirrel Army. Today we're discussing Plaza of Heroes and whether it's a new staple in EDH. If you're enjoying the content here, you can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing and turning on the notification. Alright, so there's actually been a lot of chatter about this card here for today. And before we go too far, I do want to explain what it does, just in case you don't know what it does, in case you haven't been paying attention to Spoiler Season of Dominaria United and whatnot. This is a new land, comes into the battlefield untapped. It has several different abilities, which seems quite interesting for a land. This is just a rare, which that's probably misleading to a small degree to me, in a sense, especially for this set, but what have you. Taps for a colorless, which just sure, that's fine. Can tap for a color of any mana. Spend this mana only to cast a legendary spell. So we're all playing Commander here. And we all have a thing in our command zone that is a legendary. Now, whether we're playing a planeswalker or whatnot, whatever, that does not matter. It's this legendary spell. So, we can now cast our commander with this card. So, it is essentially Command Tower at that point. So, that's pretty darn good. And it also can tap for a colorless. So, again, you can run this in a colorless deck. It doesn't really matter. But again, that ability to be able to go into any deck is pretty darn good. Taps to add 1 mana of any color among legendary permanents you control. Okay, so now it really is Command Tower, because now we can actually, once we've got our commander on the field, or one of our legendaries that has both of our commander's color identities in it, we can tap for all the colors that are in our commander's color identity. So that means that we've got a very good land here to start with. And we're not even done explaining what this card does, because it has another ability, which is just like, wow, okay, cool. You can exile the Plaza of Heroes and target legendary creature control gains hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. You can only do that by paying 3 mana and tapping it, but still, that's pretty darn powerful, especially on a land like this. This land was, it's Command Tower, plus you can tap for colorless, essentially. Which, yeah, okay, that's a fairly good staple card that you could run in most decks now. Now, again, you can run this card in colorless decks, and those decks had that problem of being like, well, we can't run Command Tower. And I don't really think that you need to run Command Tower in those colors or whatnot, or in those non-colors, or whatever you want to call it, because it's a single color essentially deck. But again, if you wanted to make your commander's color identity of colors, which was colorless, which doesn't really make sense, but anyway, if you wanted to make that color, it didn't really work that way, because colorless isn't a color, blah blah blah, etc. So, this being able to go into decks like that, into Eldrazi, and it doesn't really affect it. Like, sure, the other 2 abilities aren't too amazing in a colorless deck, but now they have this option, and it can protect your commander or protect one of your other important legendaries. You do have to exile it, which is a little bit worse than having to be able to sacrifice it, and you have to pay essentially 4 mana in a sense to protect your thing. But again, that is a small downside, because the opportunity cost of this card is that this is just a land. Now, obviously, this can go again in monocolor decks, but I don't think it really belongs in monocolor decks. This belongs in any 2+ color decks, obviously in EDH. But where it shines the most, I think, is probably in 5-color decks. This is a card that a lot of those decks are going to want, because the problem that they have in 5 colors is you really need fixing in those colors. It is very difficult to get your colors going, and a land that can tap for multiple colors of mana like this is a very, very powerful land in that space. So yes, I do think that this is a new staple. It does live up to being powerful enough to be going in just about every deck that can run it. The problem, perhaps, is the slight price point on this card. It's over $10 because a lot of people, including myself, have now realized how good this card is out there and whatnot, or at least other YouTubers have been saying, hey, this card's pretty good, and everyone's gone, you know what, that card is pretty good, and have driven the market price up. So, yeah, that's one of those things. It's not like Command Tower or Exotic Orchard or whatever that's like 50 cents because it's been reprinted and reprinted and reprinted 1,000 times. This is the first time this card is being printed, and will they print it again? Who knows? Will they reprint it anytime soon? Probably not. So, there is that issue. But again, the more supply that gets out there into the wider community and whatnot, the more of this set that is open, and that perhaps it comes up to demand, perhaps as well, to say, hey, Wizards, we want this card to be put into Precon decks, and there's a lot of cards that I wish they would put into Precon decks, but, this is just one of those cards that you go, wow, this should be in every single Precon from here going forward, but hey, will they do that? Who knows? But yes, that's not up to us, but it is up to us to agree to be like, hey, Wizards, that card you just printed that's really good for each pretty much, please put it in every precon because, hey, that's really useful for this format and everyone will need it. So I would hope that there's some way that they can get this out there a lot more, but we will have to wait and see. But as far as this card goes, yes, I feel like this card is a really, really good card. The opportunity cost, as I said, is so small for a card like this. I'm not sure what kind of deck I can, not think that this goes in. That's the thing. I'm not being like, wow, where would this go? No, it's like, where would this not go? Where would I have the excuse to be like, nah, bro, I'm not running that. Like, what? This is a really good card. There's another land that was in this set that I think was being somewhat discussed, but I think this one, from what I was reading, is the one that is the more hyped one from the set for EDH purposes, and I can see why. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say on this one. You guys can let me know what you guys think. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. I'll be sure to respond as much as I can. And yeah, what do you think of this new land here that basically is a legendary command tower that can also protect your legendaries? Yeah, let me know down there in the comments. But hey, if I don't see you down there in those comments, I'll see you in the next one.